I didn't know that story about the church.
Tarek and Brandon remember, but
that's incredible. That you probably weren't the first one to do that. And we always talked about getting signs like you should turn here, but no one actually kept up with that. We were just like, good luck. I hope you find us. It's around back to the left under a bit. Forced, it was complicated. So. But we know how we find meetings. I just kind of look for the group of people smoking or like hanging out, looking kind of funny. I'm like, oh yeah, that's us. Yeah, those people don't mix at all. It's my group. All right, hey y'all, I'm Lindsey. I'm an alcoholic. I do want to thank Scott for asking me. I'm glad to be here. I also know some other people in here, so it's good to see a lot of y'all. And then my Atlanta friends who came down, and then of course my wife Jamie who drove me, which was really nice. Since Atlanta traffic, we did, for a moment there, thought we were definitely not going to make it on time. But somehow this weird thing happens with like the maps. It would just be like, oh, it's going to take forever. Like you might not ever make it. And then it's like, you'll be there in 10 minutes. What the heck? So that's pretty much what happened. Well, we made it. It sounded, when you were reading all those things, I was like, I can't believe I'm doing all that shit. That's like a lot. But I'm grateful to do it. It'll be fun. It's going to be a good time. And tonight, I get to, share some stuff with y'all, which that'll be fun. And to be honest, I thank God I have done this long enough where I really don't think about anything. And I just we just see where it goes. But I am curious, first CA meeting?
Yep.
Ever? But like, it's like first meeting ever or first CA meeting?
First CA.
Okay. You're from the AA.
I mean, AA and...
Oh, okay, you're from the whole group. Okay, got it. So you're good. You're like new, but not like new. Okay, got it. I'm glad you're here. CA's type. Okay, so first, basically, like, what am I going to do? What are we going to talk about? Probably alcoholism. We'll see. It's kind of important. There was a while ago, and I share this almost, it's like a 90% shot that I'm going to share this when I start speaking, but not 100, but we're going to do it tonight. This guy, I had like 6 years sober at the time, something like that. And this guy was taking me through the steps, and he read this to me, and it is literally stuck into this like being so deep now where right before I speak, it really does help me get clear. It's this part that I quoted incorrectly for 6 years. Shocker. Don't worry, every so many years, I'm like, I've been saying that wrong for a long time. It's on page 58. We read it all the time. Says, our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. So I used to misquote it because I wouldn't say what I used to be like. I would tell you what happened, what I'm like now, what happened, what I'm like now, what happened and what I'm like now, whatever. And he was like, if you're ever sharing your experience with alcoholism and with your relationship with God and all this kind of stuff, he was like, you better explain and share what you used to be like, the state of consciousness that you lived in before you could differentiate true from false. So I'm going to try to articulate my state of being, my state of consciousness, how I lived before I had a psychic change. And before I started to grow and heal, through the 12 steps and through my creator and through the people around me. Because that's the trippy thing about alcoholism. I'm sponsoring this girl. I'm taking her through the steps. She got like 3 to 4 years, and we were meeting yesterday, and she was like, I'm more scared of alcoholism now than I was 3 years ago. I was like, damn straight, I didn't even know what it was till I had like 3 years sober, But I can tell you this, I knew when I got sober this time, when I was brand new, I knew that I was screwed. I was very, 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 very desperate. So, but I still did not understand alcoholism because it's a trippy thing to understand. It makes no sense, right? I guess I could. I better say this or I'll forget about it. It just popped in my brain. My sobriety date is April 23rd, 2007. I'm originally from North Carolina and got here in Georgia for treatment. Shocker. And I stayed because, and it's funny, I didn't have any intention on staying in Georgia. I'm clearly I'm going to go back to North Carolina. And I got sober. I'm I have nothing there. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing in North Carolina that I need there. So anyways, hopefully, oh, you good? Yeah, let's chill. We're all hanging out. So what I didn't understand is I'm going to try to explain, when you hear, when I was new, I remember coming into AA meetings and people would be like, I just always felt so separate. I was always so different. And I'd be like, God, yeah, me too. I know exactly, I could identify with that deeply. I always understood it. It made sense to me. And another thing is, I do a lot of, this is the first time, and I think almost my whole recovery that I'm not actively currently at this moment taking a meeting to a detox or sober living. So I'm trying to squeeze into this new meeting they're starting to see if they'll give me a room. Anyways, I asked them last night, I was can I just can we get an extra meeting and then I can do a newcomer meeting? I mean, other people can come, anybody, we can do whatever, but can we do that? Because I want to wrangle in the newcomers. Anyway, so when I do these meetings, I think this is what was always missing, or not missing, but I did not fully grasp. It took a long time. Alcoholism's pretty trippy. Is I'll ask them, I'll be like, why did you, what did alcohol do for you? I'll ask them, I'll be like, what did alcohol do for you other than wreck your life and I don't know, drain your bank account or, divorce. Other than that, those are the consequences. That's alcohol did that to you, but what did it do for you? Every time it's the same stuff. It's the same for me. It's, they use typically in treatment centers and stuff, they use the verbiage, relieve my anxiety, relieve my anxiety. It helped me shut everything down. It allowed me to not be here. I could connect with people. I could be kind of myself. I could have fun. And that's exactly what alcohol did for me, right? That's exactly what it did for me. And there's this part in the book, and it says men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. And for someone like me, that's exactly what alcohol did for me. It absolutely allowed me to be with you. That's it. It removed, and the third step talks about relieve me of the bondage of self. I had no idea that's what that's what alcohol was doing for me the whole time. Because this time when I got sober, my sponsor told me, you need to stop focusing on what alcohol and drugs did to you. You need to start really looking at what they did for you. Is if you don't, you're going to die. And I actually did not fully understand that at all. I was like, oh, of course, absolutely. Let me get on that. I was but then it started to make sense. So, I had no idea. And we're going to come back to that because that's this huge main, a massive component of alcoholism. And I'm just going to give you a snapshot of the previous, which is in short, it ain't that complicated, but it's super painful and dark. And it's just like Bill says, which is no words can describe, right? And I really do believe that. When Bill's no words can describe, I'm like, yeah, I ain't find none either. And then I ask every single woman I take through steps, I'm like, can you describe what he's talking about? And they're like, I'm like, exactly. Either you know what the heck we're talking about, that kind of pain and that kind of darkness and that kind of isolation and that kind of, oh, I can't believe that again. Either you know what that's like or you don't. So any addict alcoholic, when it's no words can tell her that bit of self-pity, quicksand stretched around me, we're like, yeah. And I cannot find a better description. So, started drinking when I was young, shocker. That's pretty common. That went really fast. Everything about me is party time. Let's go. Still today, I get asked pretty regularly, where the weed at. I take no offense to it. It's like I literally still, with time sober, give off the energy of like I get fucked up. Like I party. I get asked it all the time, and that'll probably happen for the rest of my life. So I still give off this energy of like, yo, I'm down. Like we're gonna freaking, what are we gonna do? So I definitely don't have some like super spiritual vibes coming off. I still have I get high vibes. Like that's for sure happens. But the tricky thing was this. It wasn't all that kind of drama. It was the first time I really asked for help. I called my folks, and I was living in West Virginia at the time, and I was like, y'all, I need some serious help. This is real bad, this drinking thing. It's got real bad. So I tried to quit before, it didn't work out real well, got drunk again. They had cut me off this is a bunch of nightmare. I got in a wreck, whatever. And it's not neither here nor there. It's just details. And they were like, yeah, we can help you. And then they're like, come on, we'll help you out. And I'm like, okay, great. We think you need like treatment. I'm like, oh God, no. Oh my God. I know I have like a drinking problem, but I don't need like rehab for the drinking problem. So, because I really did for a few years, I deeply, deeply believed that if I got a good enough therapist and I got some good medications, we were going to taper this thing out. We're going to be all right. Like it was going to be fine. And that just didn't happen. And I had no idea. The allergy was easy for me. I connected with that pronto. I was like, they were like, yeah, once you start, you can't stop. And that sounds a little weird, right? Like, it sounds like I take a shot and then I'm just like, oh my God. That's not like exactly how it looked, but how it really looks is there's a loss of choice, right? Like once the allergy takes over, it takes me. So my brain thinks it knows what it's going to do. So my brain's like, well, no, we good, Linz, because, if you go in here, we're only going to be here for a few hours anyways, because we got shit to do. So we're just going to have a few drinks and then we're going to get up out of here. And it's like, yeah, good plan. Then the problem is I start drinking and then all of a sudden the plans change, and it looks like that I'm changing my mind, but looking back, that's actually not what I want. It's just not ever what I want, because I end up throwing away everything I started to rebuild. I did that, and this was the third school in the second state of the third try in the third school of the second state of me and Lindsay trying to get her shit together. And I had no idea that that's what was happening, because I really believed every freaking week when I would go to the same bar that I would go. After a few drinks, I would make the night class that I signed up for, because I signed up for it and wanted to go and do this, fully wanted to do this. And every freaking week, this would happen. And every freaking week, it was like Groundhog Day. So even though my mind wants to do what I set out to do, once I start drinking, my body takes over, and it's actually is what's making the calls, because I would never choose that. Like, I already had my good plan. I'm not like an idiot, It's just, oh my God, once I start, I just don't know what's going to happen. And it becomes really scary. And I know y'all know this. Well, some folk, I'm assuming there's definitely people here I know this. It gets a little spooky. It starts getting really scary when I started to wake up that I actually have no idea what's going to happen. And then I start to lose any sort of trust in me being able to go out into public with people. And it gets really scary. So I tighten up again. I'm like, better tighten up. I don't know if y'all do that. I'm like, oh no, we're getting this together. And this weird thing happens where, I'm all good. I got my plan for the day. And then the thought comes, just like the book. And the crazy thing about Jim and Fred and all those cool stories in the italics. Oh, wait, let me just read it. Let me just read this. This is tight. It just makes so much sense. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what happens. So, this is good. Okay. Oh, no, I want suddenly, not this guy. Here we go. I like the milk guy. Yeah, I like the milk guy. Yeah, he's just pounding a bunch of milk. It's cool. So he ends up drinking a gallon and a half. But it says, Suddenly, the thought crossed my mind that if I put an ounce of whiskey in my milk, it couldn't hurt me on a full stomach. Well, duh. And the fact that I still think that's logical. I mean, I'm still like, well, yeah. Good plan. I ordered a whiskey and poured it into the milk. I vaguely sensed I was not being any too smart, but felt reassured that I was taking the whiskey on a full stomach. I like it because I like the logic. I relate to that, like, full stomach. I'm like, oh, yeah, like, duh, you're not going to get that drunk. I mean, you ate a sandwich. It'll be all right. But it's interesting because this suddenly is important. And it ties into not only did that experience happen to me when I was drinking, that's the same thing I'm up against today. I had about 8 years sober, and I was working the steps with a group of people, and I was doing a fifth step with this badass chick and named Doreen. And I was sitting there, and I was kind of on my bullshit, y'all. You know, like 8 years, like about half my friends were drinking, you know, and it's just me and my little home group. And, you know, I'm just trying to hang in there, and I'm doing my deal, but I'm kind of on my bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, not really doing my nightly shit. I'm not really doing my morning stuff. I'm just kind of like partying a lot, sober. You know, look at me. It was fine. But she looked at me, and I had 8 years sober, and I was telling her the truth. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that stuff, you know. And she was like, oh, my God, you think you have a defense for suddenly. I was like, oh, bitch, damn, that's true. And I was like, oh, my God. If I suddenly hit you in the face, you ain't going to see it coming. But I think I'm going to get some big caution sign that's like, you're off the tracks, or you're not in the middle of the bed, or whatever. Middle of the road, I don't know, whatever. And I still today very much have experience with suddenly when I'm drinking, and I believe that I'm still susceptible to suddenly now. It's why I do what I do. And I do believe in alcoholism. And what's that? So you got the allergy, which is, oh shit, once it goes in, I don't know what's going to happen about that. Like, I really don't. I thought I did until I started to connect to it, because I started to do things that I knew I would never do. That me would never choose or ever plan to do that. I was going against everything I said, everything I thought, everything I believed, all that. And most addicts, alcoholics know what I'm talking about. And then the obsession suddenly, right? Because there's this idea when I was like getting sober, and people like the thought that overrides all of their thoughts. I'm like, yeah, but that shit's sneaky. You know, I really believe we don't see it coming. And I've met so many alcoholics over the years who are like, I seriously didn't see it coming. I'm like, yes, the whole point. That's the whole point, is that I can't see what I can't see. And alcoholism lives back here, and it lives over here, and it's all like creepy over here, and it's all like sneaky over there. It's all weird, you know? So that's why for someone like me, when I was first introduced to the book and this guy was taking me through everything and he told me, I believed him. Because I didn't understand, because I was like, no, bro, I'm really desperate this time. I've tried all these different things. And he's like, I know, but you're still going to get drunk. I'm like, it's so cold. Like, why? I don't want to, so why would I drink again if I don't want to drink again? He was like, that's the whole point of alcoholism, is that it's not about what you want. It's not about what you need. And I'm like, that's cold. And because I really believe that that every other time I drank after deciding that I wasn't going to drink and I was quitting, I really believed that the only reason I wasn't successful is because I didn't care enough. And that if I cared more, like if I like really tried harder or whatever, if I meant it, that was what I'm looking for. If I meant it, like if I must have not have meant it that time, but this time I really mean it. And then he started questioning me. He was like, well, did you mean for that to total another car with someone in it? Did you mean to get fired? You know, and I'm like, well, no, but he was showing me that every time I never mean to tear my life down over and over again. And as me getting sober has nothing to do with like how bad I want it or how much all this stuff. It's like, hey, he was like, if you don't get a relationship with something greater than yourself, you're for sure going to drink again. And for whatever reason, I was so desperate. I believed everything he said. I was just like, that sounds that checks out, because I've done that every time. Every single time I've drank again and didn't really see it coming. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know it at the time, but he was like, you got to believe in, you got to get a relationship with God. And I was like, that'll be fine. And, but I honestly, it's not like I had this thing with God. I mean, I'm not that, whatever. Like, God's kind of weird. I was like, whatever. But I was so desperate, it didn't matter to me. I was like, I'll believe whatever. I mean, doesn't matter. But I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now. I didn't have this whole, I believe in God thing, but I deeply believed that I was going to drink again if I didn't do what all these people told me I was going to, what to do. And it was the first time. There's the bottom in the big book is this, which it'd be cool if I found it. Well, I mean, I know it, but it's better if I read it. Come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we've been living it. Because anyone can look at their experience, and there's so many people that are like, man, this time I got sober wasn't even as bad as 2 years ago. It's same here. My life looked way worse 2 years before than when I got sober. But for whatever reason, at that point, I very much believed in the hopelessness and futility of life as I was living it, meaning my plans and designs were toast. I was done. I didn't even want to. I knew that I needed to do something completely different. So, fortunately, I believed in alcoholism. Meeting that guy, there I go. I said, baby. Like a really tiny baby, like a really tiny. It's like this. It's like an M&M. It's so small. I love it. So this is going into we touched on the obsession, right? The suddenly, oh God, didn't see that coming. Oh, it's a baby. No, you're a good girl. It's a baby.
I'm gonna tell her the squeak baby's cute, and she should stay.
Oh, she should stay. Yeah. The baby could cry. I mean, I'm going to just keep it moving. We're going to hang out. We can hang out with babies. We are babies. I cry all the time. We are children. Then when people are like, I don't know about kids in the meeting, I'm like, there's two sitting beside me. They just happen to be 47. I don't know. Anyway, so here we go, getting into tie into that, what alcohol does for you thing. So I'm doing everything they're telling me to do, right? They're like, you got to be praying. I'm like, I'm going to pray into my covers. And you got to go to all these. I did everything, right? I was desperate. I read the big book at night. I was do whatever it takes. I was terrified to drink again. I was really, really scared. But I was also in this sober living. And is she good? Oh, she's coming back? Go, get back. What are you doing? Get in here. It's a baby. Yeah. Okay, baby's sleeping. We're going to wake it up. We're going to be quiet. Oh. Okay, so anyways, here I am, doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, right? And I had no idea. And to me, this is one of the earliest depictions of untreated alcoholism that I've experienced that I'd never been able to experience before. Because I'll go into sober livings and we're talking about alcoholism. I'm explaining it to them. They're vibing. But then again, it's like, oh, thanks for telling me. I'll remember that. And I'm like, you ain't. You ain't going to remember any of that. It's action stuff. But here I am, my sober living. I did this for a long time. I didn't tell anybody for years. I don't think I told anybody until I had 3.5 years sober. Mostly because to me it was embarrassing. I felt pathetic. I felt like y'all might kick me out of recovery, if that's a thing, but I did think that. But at night in my sober living, I'd get up in the middle of the night because I could not explain to you how I felt. It was just awful. It was torturous. And I'd get up in the middle of the night and I'd go to the kitchen table alone, literally 2 a.m. kind of shit. And I'd pour a little cup of apple juice and I'd play really depressing music and I would chain smoke. And I would drink that apple juice slowly like I was drinking whiskey. And I would just be praying, honestly, for a buzz from apple juice. Is a bit scary. There's a reason for the embarrassment aspect of that. And I also thought I was also very different sober because no one else was talking about that. Everyone in the meetings and my treatment IOP, that's fun time, we're just I'm just really grateful to be sober today. One day at a time, happy, joyous, and free. And I was like, yes, what? And I was trying so hard, I'm like, I got like the headphones. I'm like, oh, we're going to do it. But I had no one showed me. No one showed me how to articulate my internal condition. I didn't know how to share with you, like, I really want to be sober, and I'm really grateful to be here, but all of y'all piss me off. Every single one. All y'all irritate me. I didn't know how to share how insecure I was. I didn't know how to share how awkward I was. I just didn't know. And so I just did what I've always done, which is we're going to keep that right here. We're going to push it down to the left and do that. And I'm going to drink apple juice, pretend I'm going to get drunk or something, and just pray that this hopefully goes away at some point. And I lived in that on and off for a very long time because I just didn't know that I was suffering from untreated alcoholism. I had no idea. And it wasn't until I finally we found out. Whew, it was a good thing. And it's actually when basically, a few buddies, all connected anyways. A bunch of things happened. I was like, bam. I was like, no one has ever articulated that to me. And I had no idea that right there, I'm talking when I was getting sober in that first like good little bit, I'm like, this Red Bull, what if we drank 4? Like, what would happen? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know that I had this thing that was just like tightening and tightening and tightening. But then I'd feel a little good after a meeting. So I'd be like, oh no, we're good. It's all good. I had no idea what I suffered from. I had no idea how to treat it. I just thought we were going to go to these meetings. We're going to read this big book. We're going to talk about happy, joyous, and free. And I was not. I didn't know how to tell you I wasn't. And honestly, I didn't even know a difference. It wasn't like I consciously knew that I had this restless, irritable discontent thing going on. I had no idea, because when they say the alcoholic life's the only one you ever know, and I'm like, well, no shit. I literally don't know another state of consciousness I've ever been in but my own. So I don't have this like other experience from when I was 7, like, wow, when I was free, 7. And so I only know feeling separate from you. I only know kind of holding this in. I only know how to be semi-fraudulent. That's all I've ever known. So, and I had no idea that my alcoholism just loves to live there. And it's been quite a journey to experience the continual freedom from that, because I do. My experience is either because I do, my spirit deeply needs, that's the whole point, 12 steps, right? Spiritual awakening. As a result of these steps, something like that. Something like we read all the time, and something I should probably know off the top of my head, but, I don't. It says, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. So that's it. All right. So the whole point is like, hopefully your spirit going to wake up as a result of these steps. All right. It's exactly what alcohol did for my spirit for a long time. Before it chained it, that whole like, ooh, now I'm a slave thing. Before that, it really is the only thing that had ever woken my spirit up for the first time. And that's what people are talking about. And I remember it. I am one of those who the first time the effect produced, I was like 13, 14 years old. First time I drank was 13, but I was honestly, that wasn't the deal. It was 14. That's when I was like, I've arrived. Like, we're good right here. That experience that did continue on for a while, that did wake my spirit up. Alcohol really did allow me to have fun, be myself, connect with you, allow me to be okay. And then it chained me and like drug me around for a while. That whole, that's why we're here. But I really do. That's the only experience I have. Either alcohol has separated me from the bondage of self and woke my spirit up, or the 12 steps on relationship with God. I don't really have another one. I don't know many people that do. Alcoholics. I'm not going to say none. I mean, there might be, but I haven't met them yet. So that's the whole thing, is that it is a blessing. I was basically given a gift of like extreme desperation. And I think even more of that gift was being connected in people that were put in my life. So it is that's the gift I was given. It's like, hey, you are so desperate, you're so open, and you have people here that are willing to help you. And so I'm so blessed to have had the opportunity to do what they said. And none of it made much sense at all. It really didn't. It's really terrifying. I tell like newcomers, I'm like, so you're going to have to like, you know that thing you've been scared of for like 20 years? Yeah, we're going to have to do that. Like within a week. You know, we're just going to have to like get that done. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, but it's tight though, because you're going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Because I had no idea too. There's this other kind of thing that I've been, that I talk about quite a bit, because there's so many connections between like alcoholism in the sense of when we're actively drinking and using. Believe it or not, that same shit there when we sober. It really is. It's kind of astonishing. So we'll get into that. So here I am. Woke up quite a bit as a result, right? And I made a crap ton of amends, and I'm fortunate. I'm really grateful. I've made all my amends I'm aware of, and that was completed like a year ago or something. And it was a really weird story, how that last one came about. In fact, I want to tell you, I love it. It's funny. So there's this guy that I used to get high with in West Virginia. Quite a bit older, a little interesting. And he was like on Facebook, and I remember messaging him like, yo, we got to meet up. I got to do this men's thing. He's like, yeah. But I'm moving to South Carolina, so like, we're going to meet there. I was like, perfect. Disappears. Not on Facebook. Nowhere, user not found. Years go by, pops back up. Yo, let's do this. You ready? Let's meet up. We're going to do the thing. He's like, yeah. I'm moving to South Carolina. The same thing. He hadn't moved yet. It'd been years, but he's going to move. I was like, all right, sounds good. You're not going to believe this. Disappeared again. Done. Right? Years go by. I swear, this is crazy. I was like, oh my God. This guy, I can't get a hold of him. I get a random call last year. Random. West Virginia, and my phone rings. I'm like, that's weird. Better answer. Boom. And they were looking for someone, not me. And I was like, this is not so-and-so. I think you got the wrong number. And they're like, oh, all right. I was like, how'd you get this number? You know, I'm just like interrogating this random person that called me. I was like, how'd you get this number? And they go, used to be my buddy Lee's phone. I said, oh, where's he at? You got his number? She's like, yeah, I got his new number. I'll give it to you. Type. Called that number. There he is. I didn't even bother with this whole I'm going to meet you thing. I was like, what is your current mailing address? I'm going to send you money. And, you know, we talked on the phone. It was good. We did all that and sent him the money, all right, that I owed him. He texted me back, and he was like, thank you so much. I was behind on my car payment, so this is great. I was like, you're welcome, man. I'm so glad we got to catch up, clear that up, all that. And, like, a week or two later, he's like, so, I hate to do this, but I had this other issue and asked for more money. And I was like, nah, bro, you need to. It's like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, nah, we're going to cut it. But that is so random. And I was so happy to finally get this guy what I owed him, because I owed him. And it was just a financial amends, but we caught up a bit. And you never know what could happen with amends. But that's the one. After I did that one, I was like, oh, my God, what a blessing. And I think the powerful thing for me in my experience with amends, and that's the whole thing, there's this part in there, it says, we must lose our fear of creditors. You know, we are liable to drink if we're afraid to face them. All right. And I really do believe it's not about, it could take you, my sponsor took him like 15 years to pay off, you know, like he did $20 at a time for like 10 years, you know, whatever. I really do think if we're afraid to face it, that's it. Just face it. You know, I think that's where most of the work is actually like, I know I'm not going to be able to do all this right now, blah, but I can face it. I'm willing to face it because my experience has been when I actually faced all that stuff from my past, all of it. If I faced my past, I did everything I could to make it right and clean it up. I've been gifted and given courage and stuff internally that's allowed me to face everything that's come in the future, that has come present. And I really do believe in that correlation. It's just been very, very clear for me because I hid and I did this. And I swatted things over here because I just didn't want to face them. I was so scared. I was so scared of taking responsibility. I was so scared of doing all that stuff. And when the book, all the steps are intricate in the way of they really are going to reorganize the things within me so I can be here today, so I can be with you, so I can be myself. All right. So anyways, I don't know if I should have gone on that tangent, but we did it. So there we go. That's that. So I guess ever since I kind of got connected with I'd say with mostly when Scott came into my life with Carl, ever since that, it has changed. Not only that initial experience of desperation I shared with you guys, and then also waking up to what I suffer from, which is an awful, nasty thing untreated. It's an awful, nasty thing. Once it changed the trajectory of my entire life, and I had no idea that it was. I had no idea that fully committing myself to the continual, participation in 12 steps, and that's like all the things. That's not only the steps, that's also my home group meetings, and I sponsor a lot. But I had no idea that it would change my whole life. I had no idea. It really is. When I got sober, and I'm sure when you got sober, people were like, oh no, it's going to be fine. Like, we're happy, joyous, and free, and like, it's going to be good. And you're going to be fine. And and you're going to be in a lot of pain, and it's going to get a little weird sometimes. But it is like trying to explain to someone, like I've had a spiritual awakening, a psychic change, and these things, and me trying to explain to someone, just like no words can tell that destruction Bill's talking about. It's like there really are no words for me to tell you what it really is like to be relieved of the bondage of self, and to actually majorly be okay with who I am. That is like imagining a color you've never seen kind of analogy. It's really difficult to articulate, and that's why I'm like, gosh, if you have not had that experience, or if you have any time, even a little bit of time, and you identify with anything I'm saying, I'm like, there is really, really a whole world of people who will help you, who will literally hold your hand and show you. Because what I didn't need someone to just be like, you need to take a third step. It's like, I knew how to take third. I needed people to show me how to share. I needed people to show me that it was okay to not know. I needed people to show me that it was okay to be upset, and people that just show my, actually how embarrassed I am, and how, I don't know what I'm doing, and that it's okay, and that I can always ask for help. I needed people to show me that, and show me how to use words, because I didn't know how to articulate all that stuff. Drinking my apple juice, I had no idea how to say, so I don't know, it's kind of like this weird, it's I kind of want to die, but I don't really want to die. I kind of want to disappear, but I also want to be here, and I want to go to the party, but I kind of don't want to be at the party. This is why I need help. That's why I need help with all of this. And there's a few things I'll wrap up. There's where is this? Oh, I know where it is. Okay, here it is. So there's this one thing I have. There's a few things that I've found that have been instrumental, and I hope to just share these things. I've had a lot of crazy experiences in my recovery, and everybody has. Even if you're 30 days in, you've had a wild ride. Everyone's had a wild ride. And there's a few things that have just been instrumental. One, I could not be more eternally grateful for the gift that my Creator gave me, right? Just separating me from alcohol and giving me something within me that I did not produce myself to make me open and willing to do this. Beyond eternally grateful for the people around me who will put their hand out there, right? And I'm also really grateful for understanding that, and who taught me about alcoholism. I've been able to learn it and see it in my own experience, and I see it in others, and I help them with it. There's this part in the book, and we'll all identify. It says, he often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitudes, and has a promising career ahead of him. He uses his gifts to build up a bright outlook for his family and himself, and then pulls the structure down on his head by a senseless series of sprees. Anybody identify with that? Yeah. And that's the scary part, is that I very much believe there's a reason my actions do what they be doing is because I really do believe that even for me sober, I was always taught that the noose around my neck is the time that I have and what I think I know. And it's this too. I can use my gifts. I will. I'll use my gifts to build up a bright outlook for myself and my family. And then I have the ability and the capability of pulling the structure down on my head by a senseless series of lies. And that's dead ass sober. And I'm talking about the separation within, the omission, the not sharing, the deceit, the delusions, because I'll call it, we're very delusional, right? I think I know, I'm right, all that. And this is where I see a lot of people have been really, really close to me. I've loved for a long time. I do believe that the roots of my alcoholism live in this stuff. And if I don't continue to have the spiritual awakenings to treat it and to grow and to see it, then I think I'll do that shit dead ass sober with a bunch of time, not see it coming like suddenly. And the crazier thing is I know the big book pretty dang well. I help a lot of people, but not know a lot of things. And it still ain't got nothing to do with me staying sober. Ain't that a bitch? It really is dependent upon me participating. And so not only participating in the 12 steps, participating in my home group, sponsorship is probably for me where my heart lights up the most. I sponsor a lot of women. And if there's anything that's changed my life more than anything else, it has been that connection. It has been that experience of witnessing God within someone else do for them what they could not do for themselves, and just watching it. This experience that, relationship with God has not only has given me and enabled me to recreate the relationships in my family. Real quick, let's just say that shit was whack and real painful. I'm talking, I lived in a lot of pain for a long time, and because of this and because of my relationship with God, I was able to, for the first time, actually connect with my dad, change my life. It has put me in a position to actually, shocker, to not only fall in love, to stay, to stay and allow someone to love me. I know that's a new one too. I mean, good Lord, it took a long time. That it's possible. It's possible. I'm very clear how important you are, how loved you are. It's no doubt to me, and I just hope that you can find that within yourself. So all this has given me things more than any of the cool job stuff. We're on a blah, blah, blah. It's given me a family, not only my parents and sister and all that kind of stuff, but I'm married, and I didn't even know that it was possible. I didn't even know it was possible to not only connect to another human being, but to also continually be truthful. And also that I could be myself and I could be honest and I could live my life and someone actually want to participate with me. It's a freaking crazy thing. So crazy things have happened. And if anything, from the bottom of my heart, I really do hope that you are open to having a new experience with the big book or the steps. If there's any way I could be helpful to anyone, let me know. It is a wild ride, and I do appreciate y'all having me here. Thank y'all.